Hey guys, thanks for joining me today as I bake all the things. My name is Kim and this is Saving with Six, and as some of you probably already know, I have 6 kids. We have a big family and I am going to make a bunch of snacks for them for their lunches. One of the things, I normally would make homemade blueberry muffins, but my mom just came to visit and she brought me these blueberry muffin mixes. So I want to make these and get them out of my pantry. So I have 5 of these and I'm going to attempt to make mini muffins with these. And I thought they would be kind of like those little packages of mini muffins. I don't know, the Little Debbie makes them, I think, or Entman's, and they're little packages of mini muffins, and I thought I would do that with these blueberry muffins, put them in the tins and then package them up for them to take to school. I am going to make homemade brownies. I am going to make 2 kinds of cookies, maybe 3, and some banana breads, probably 4 banana breads, and we're going to probably eat those mostly for breakfast. I'll link all the recipes down below. These are some of my favorites. Other than these blueberry muffins, which I have never made a mix before, I usually make my own blueberry. It's called blueberry muffin bread, and it's delicious. You can either make it into muffins or into bread, but I prefer bread because it's easier, and then we just slice it and eat it, and it tastes just like a blueberry muffin. It's so good. But I am going to make these just to get them out of my pantry. I'm trying really hard not to go to the grocery store that much this month and just kind of eat what we have out of our pantry, except for bread, milk, and the things that I need to, and actually even bread is in my freezer, but mostly milk and the things that I need to pick up fresh on a regular basis. So hopefully this month's grocery hauls are going to be very small, very small. And if you've seen some of my grocery hauls in the past, I typically spend between $400 and $500 a month on groceries for my family of 8, which I guess is way below the national average. However, I feel like I spend way too much time at the grocery store because I love to grocery shop, but every time I go in, I spend way more than I intend to spend. So trying to stay out of the grocery store altogether is hopefully going to help me spend less money this month. So we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, I kind of have everything out and ready to go. I started this by making powdered milk into actual milk because, let me show you. This is how much milk I have left in my house, right here. And I know that if I go to the store and get more milk, I will spend more money. So I'm really gonna try to use this powdered milk for baking so that my son, Max, who really loves cereal, can have cereal for the next 2 days. And I don't have to go to the store until Monday. And that will be my 2nd week into October, and I'll get some groceries then. I'm really trying, guys, to just kind of make do with what we have and buy everything on clearance if I can, save as much money as I possibly can. If I find more milk on clearance, I'm going to try to find room in my freezer. Oh, it's really tight in there, but maybe I could just throw a couple of half gallons in my freezer to save that. Anyway, we're going to make powdered milk and make do. So we'll put that in there. So we're going to start with this because this is literally, I just made the powdered milk. That's 2.5 cups of powdered milk. Well, 2.5 cups of milk. I used a 1/4 cup of powder, and then I reconstituted that by adding water to 1 cup. So that's how I do it. I put the 1/4 cup of powdered milk into 1/4 cup of powder into a mixing bowl, and then I fill the mixing bowl up to the 1 cup line, and that's how I make 1 cup of milk. So that's 2.5 cups, and then we're gonna add all of these packages in. I already preheated my oven, but I think I need to make it a little bit warmer. So this is bake at 400, but my muffin tins are dark, so I'm gonna lower that temperature to 375. I'd rather cook them a little bit longer than have them brown on the top. And, oh, they smell good. I don't know if there's any real blueberries in here. There's a lot of ingredients, so let's see. No real blueberries in here. They're artificial blueberries, but they smell good. My kids are gonna love them. Oh look, they look like little tiny pellets of blueberry. I don't know if you can see that. Little tiny pellets of blueberry. All right, we're just gonna add these in. Again, not something I would normally buy, however, they were a gift, so we're gonna eat them. We do not throw away any food in this house. Find a way to use it all. things that we're going to start doing is gardening more. I just planted a bunch of artichokes that are perennials in my front yard. I'm hoping that those will produce some delicious artichokes that I can can up. And if I miss any, because we're away, because we go away for a big chunk of the summer, so if that happens, they will be beautiful flowers in our front yard. And nobody will mind that I planted vegetables out there. I'm also looking for a way to grow mushrooms in our front flower bed. It gets really sunny, but I've got this area on the side of the house that area on the side of the house that's super shaded by another tree, by like a Japanese maple, and I've got some hostas under there, but I'm wondering if I could grow some mushrooms in my front yard there. Okay, and then it says just to moisten this. Oh, my oven temperature is all set. My hands are clean. And it's my kitchen, so I'm eating my own food. Okay, and the directions say to spray these or use papers. And I don't have any of the little papers, so I don't want to go to the store, so I'm just going to use this, and we'll see if this works okay. Hopefully they all come out. I'm hoping I don't have a giant mess, but again, never tried these, never made blueberry muffins from a mix, ever. So we're going to attempt this, and hopefully that's, you think that's too full? I don't know, but that's one of these ice cream scoops, so I guess that's what I'm just gonna do, and we're gonna go from that. And if it makes puffy ones, oh well, it'll be fine. My kids will like them big, and if I have to cut them apart on the top, that's okay too. So this is just what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna use these. It's not making a huge mess, so yay to that. And it says to cook these 15 minutes because I'm lowering the temperature a little bit, and then we'll check it. And I'm also filling them a little bit fuller than it says, but I would prefer a puffy muffin. And I'll probably give them 4 in their bag. What I try to do for lunches for them is give them a sandwich, or we sometimes do meat, cheese, and crackers. But pretty much I made a ton of jelly over the summer. And I showed you guys a couple of those recipes, and I made additional ones as well. But my cupboard was full of jelly. And I say was because we've probably gone through maybe a third of it. Got plenty more fruit in the freezer there to go, so I can make more when I need to. But I usually do a sandwich or the Lunchable, the homemade Lunchable. Some kind of fruit, so it's usually grapes or a mini orange. Sometimes it's a little fruit cup. They love those as well, depending on how late in the month it is, or if I want to go to the grocery store and get anything fresh. And I found that berries don't really hold up, so we don't bring those to school, but we do eat those at home for breakfast or after dinner as sometimes dessert. And so they bring a sandwich, fruit, a yogurt. I really like to find those Go-Gurt type yogurts on sale for them. They love those, and I know they're full of sugar, but they don't care. And honestly, my kids burn off a ton, so it's not too bad. And then let them have some kind of chips or crackers and a dessert. And that's for the day. So one of those things is usually a snack for them. So all my kids except for Tiffany has snack time at school. She's my youngest, and because she's in the dual language immersion program, it's called DLI, they switch classes in the middle of the day, and so she doesn't have a lot of time to have a snack. And when you're in kindergarten, you're not a fast eater. You just can't unpackage the food fast enough and all those things. So they have lunch right in the middle of the day, so they don't have a snack option. And I typically send her, because she eats slow, just with a sandwich, a fruit, and a yogurt. And then she comes home and has a unhealthy snack of whatever that is, like whatever the kids got to take to school that they don't get. So the other kids come home and they can have banana or grapes a granola bar, that kind of thing. And I typically let Tiffany have some chips and a banana. So once she eats like the fruit, I let her have a little bit something else because she hasn't eaten as much as the other kids. And I just don't want them to snack so much before dinner because we eat almost right at 5 o'clock, 5:15, somewhere around there. And so we don't eat a ton. They don't eat a ton of the stuff at 3:30. This will be their sweet treat. So Tiffany has to eat, Tiffany will eat this when she gets home instead of with snack. I know I don't have a lot of videos out right now for you guys to watch because it's really hard for me to do, especially family videos or vacation videos. We are in the process of adopting Tiffany. And I can't put her in any social media. So she can't be on Facebook, she can't be on YouTube until that adoption process is finalized. So once that happens, we're gonna do a big celebration. I'll probably do a family video on YouTube so you guys can meet everybody and it'll be a little bit better. I strategically have to make sure she's not in any of my videos, or at least her face isn't in the video. And when I do like the tasting videos with my other kids, I try to make sure she's out of the frame, or I have to cut stuff out to make that work. So I have to use a rubber spatula because we don't want to waste anything. Maybe get 1 or 2 more muffins out of this. Jeez, I don't even know if the kids are going to like these fake flavored muffins. We'll see. The artificial blueberry. I don't know if they've ever had artificial blueberry muffin flavor. I don't think I've ever made. Well, maybe if they've had it like in a granola bar or fruit bar or something. Oh, blueberry Pop-Tarts maybe. 24 and 24, 48. 55 muffins. So maybe I'll do them in batches of 5. Package them up in batches of 5 to make it all even. Okay, so that's what I've got. So I'm going to throw these in the oven and we'll start on the next project. I was thinking another really good use for those muffin mixes, if you didn't want to actually make them as muffins, you'd probably do them as like blueberry pancakes maybe. That might be delicious, like just to kind of use them up and get them out of your pantry, have blueberry pancakes one day, or even waffles out of those. I would make them basically the same way, maybe a little thinner, and just cook them up in your pan or waffle maker. So just a thought. All right, so now we are going to make my favorite brownie recipe. And since I'm baking anyway, I am going to double this. So we're going to make 2 of these 9 by 13 pans. I'm going to package up the brownies and stick them in our snack bucket, and then the kids can take them after for lunches and maybe have some for dessert tonight. So that's kind of the plan. All right, so I'm going to spray those pans. I found this recipe years ago on the Hershey Cocoa container. And I really like this recipe. First of all, the brownies are super moist. They taste way better than anything you can get out of a box. So if you buy those boxes of brownies, even the Ghirardelli, is that how you say that? The chocolate ones? These are even better than that, I promise. And they're super easy because I have all the ingredients in the house, so I never have to go out and get stuff to make brownies. You can either add things to your brownies or leave them completely plain. Either way, they're both really good. And in this case, we are going to do one with mini M&Ms added because I found these on clearance at Kroger for like 20 cents or 25 cents. I can't remember now. Pretty cheap. And I bought these for a snack, but we aren't eating them as a snack. I kind of hid them away from my husband so that he wouldn't get into them and ruin his, I don't know, he wants to eat healthier. So I wanted to make sure that he didn't get into these. Not because I don't want him to have the M&Ms, he can totally have the M&Ms, but because he doesn't want to have the M&Ms. And then we're gonna make some with chocolate chips. So I'm gonna make 2 batches, half and half. That's my baking station over there. When I make the banana breads, I'm gonna probably do that over there, but these don't require the mixer. So I'm just gonna do that here. And I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to reuse as many bowls as I can here so that I'm not doing dishes all day, but I can just kind of wipe things out. So this is the muffin, the bowl I used for the muffins. I'm just gonna use it again for the brownies, and I'm doubling this recipe. So I will tell you the ingredients that I'm supposed to put in here, but that I'm going to double whatever I put in here because I'm making 2 9 by 13 pans. And if you are just a family of 2 and you want to make an 8 by 8, this recipe is super easy to cut in half and make like an 8 by 8 or a 9 by 9 pan. So you're welcome to do that as well. What I really love about this recipe is that you don't need to have softened butter. You can just melt. I'm just going to melt the butter in here. So for 1 pan of brownies, it is 2 sticks of butter. So I'm going to put 4 sticks in here. Yes, I know, lots of butter. That's probably why they're so delicious. I'm just going to throw this in the microwave until it is completely melted. So probably about 2 minutes for this much butter. Muffins just came out. I got interrupted in the middle of filming and had to go out to the door, but they're perfect at 15 minutes. And then I'm just going to package these up for the kiddos. 5 in a bag, it looks like. So I think those are perfect. They can take those as a snack. Okay, so here's my bowl of melted hot butter. I am going to add to this, it calls for 2 cups of sugar. So I'm going to put in 4. I'm probably going to do that the whole time, tell you what it calls for and then what I actually do. And to cool down this butter before I add the eggs, I'm going to stir this around a little bit so that I don't cook my eggs. I love these scoops from Pampered Chef. I have these containers as my canisters for baking, and they're all really narrow. So if you have a round scoop, it doesn't really fit in here nicely. But I love the containers because they fit in my cabinet really well and they fit perfectly up there. So that's why I bought them, not really thinking about the measuring situation. But these fit great. See, I put the whole scoop in there and get them out. So I may get another set of these from Pampered Chef. I really like them. And no, I'm not a Pampered Chef consultant. I just really like those scoops. All right, so I am just going to kind of mix this together to get it started and cool down the butter. Yeah, that's better. The butter was really hot in the coming out of the microwave. Okay, now we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, which I don't usually measure. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to put in 2 more for my recipe, doubling it. Here you go. And this is homemade vanilla extract that I made myself in my Instant Pot. And if you want to see that video, I will link that up there for you. Keep stirring stuff in. I know it's going to get a lot because brownie mix in general is hard to stir. And then, oh my gosh, I know it smells so good. And then this is doubled, so I know it's going to be a little bit difficult as we get going. Okay, and then I need 4 eggs for the regular recipe, so I'm going to put in 8 eggs. So I know that's going to be a lot, but again, we're doubling this recipe. But as you can see, everything's kind of in 2s. So the 2 sticks of butter, you can make that 1 stick of butter. 2 cups of sugar, you can make that 1 cup of sugar. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, you make that 1 teaspoon. And then 2 eggs, you can make that 1 egg. If you just want a small batch of brownies, if you're like just a couple of people, or you don't want to be tempted to eat an entire pan of brownies. But not in this house. In this house, we love our brownies. I'm cracking my eggs in this other bowl here because it's a lot easier to see the shells in here than it would be to see in here. And if I get any shells, they'll be easier to get out. And because I'm really bad at keeping track, I try to put my ingredients, I put all 8 eggs in this little container, or this little sieve over here that I'm going to strain my cocoa in, and that way I don't lose count of what I've done. I've also been known to do that. Oh, that shell's really thin. And those are just 8 eggs. We're gonna mix these in. 3/4 cup of cocoa. And this is just inexpensive Aldi brand cocoa. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. I have egg on the counter. So just go into the wash after. And I am going to use a sieve to get rid of some of the lumps in my cocoa. This is super, super lumpy, I found. So 3/4. Pampered Chef thing also has this little scraper that helps, kind of like a knife, but it came with a set, so I'm just going to use that. And, you know, I'm not weighing it, so it's not super precise anyway. And what I like about most of my recipes is nothing has to be super precise. Thankfully, I love to bake, but if it's too difficult, I can't be bothered. I don't have time for that. So we'll do 3/4 twice because I'm doubling the recipe. And otherwise, I just eyeball it and do half of a 3/4 cup. That's how I do that. I don't measure it. But I am trying to get out some of the lumps to make it easier to stir. And cocoa powder is a mess, guys. It gets on everything. I'm always covered in cocoa powder. So for me, the brownies are the messiest thing. And while these are baking, I'm going to start on the banana bread if the bananas are defrosted enough. And if not, I'm going to make some lunch and then do the banana bread after lunch. I'm always on a time constraint to film these videos and to make all the things because my kids get out of school at 2:30 and I need to be there to get the kids off the bus. They're all in elementary school and only the oldest 2 are allowed to walk home by themselves. The other 3 need adult supervision coming home. And that's not from me, that's from the school. So they won't let them off the bus if I'm not there. Do you guys have that too? I don't remember as a kid. I know that I walked to school every day. To all the schools, the elementary, the middle, and the high school. So I never really rode the bus. But I don't think that I think parents just went to work and kids went to the bus stop in the morning. And then after school, my friends just took the bus home. And there wasn't anybody there waiting for them. They didn't even have parents home. So things are a little bit different, I guess, nowadays. Kind of an 80s kid. And my mom worked, my dad worked. So there was nobody home when I got home from school, starting from 4th grade for me. I did go to a babysitter up until 3rd grade. And I've got 1 in kindergarten, 1 in 2nd, 1 in 3rd, 1 in 4th, 1 in 5th, and 1 in 7th. And the middle school here starts school late, so he doesn't get home till 4:30. And he starts school at 9. But my elementary school kids, they start at 7:40. The bus comes at dark 30. The bus comes at 6:45. So they need to get up at the latest 6 o'clock in order to have breakfast and be ready for the bus. At the very latest, 6 o'clock. And that's only when we're running late. Sometimes I try to get them up at 5:45. And then they get off the bus at 2:30. 2:40, I guess, technically. But I need to leave the house at 2:30 to go get them. Make sure I meet the bus. Can't be late. They stay on the bus. They go back to the school. And then we get charged a fee for whatever that, I guess, service is. If we're not at the bus stop. Okay. Oh my gosh, my arm is tired already. My arm is tired. Okay, so that's 3/4 cup of cocoa and 1 cup of flour. So we're gonna do 2 cups. And I'm not gonna use this again because the cocoa goes on everything. And this is going to be 2 cups of flour. Guys, these are so easy, and I promise once you make these, you'll never buy a box again. I bought the box before when it's like been on a super sale at Kroger for like 50 cents. And my family was like, no, don't buy these. Don't make these. These are not good. So you're definitely be spoiling them. And then half a teaspoon of baking powder. Also Pampered Chef, they're cute, aren't they? So 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon, and a quarter teaspoon of salt, but I'm going to make it a half a teaspoon of salt. Normally I would just do the mix-ins right in the batter, but because I'm doing 2 different kinds, I'm going to sprinkle these on top and then squish them around. And then the same thing for these M&Ms. Kids really dig those mini chocolate chips. When I made chocolate chip cookies with the mini chips in them, I thought those were the best. I'm gonna get these mini M&Ms. And I'm just gonna take kind of a knife and kind of switch it in. And we need the other half of this bag for the cookies. So let's tell you how this does. Normally they're all mixed in. And if you want to add nuts, you can do that. Clearly you can see that these M&Ms are from the summer, 4th of July time frame. But you know, they're going to taste the same. So we're just going to mix these in. Okay, and then we're just going to bake these at 350 for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to check them and make sure they're done before I take them out. But usually 30 minutes. Usually 30 minutes seems to work really well. And while those are in the oven, I'm going to start on lunch for Dave and me. He's home, working at home today, and we're going to have lunch together. So that's my plan. And then when I'm done with lunch, I'm going to try to get the cookies done. And if I don't get to the banana bread till tonight, that's fine too. Alexis loves to bake, so she could probably get the banana bread done if we need to. I do have the bananas set out, but they're not quite defrosted yet. They're getting there. They're kind of banana soup-ish. And I've got six bananas in this bowl. And that's what I need to make 2 batches. This will make 4 loaves of banana bread. Okay, we just finished lunch and the brownies are coming out of the oven. You can see they look amazing. They've got the nice crispy edges, the soft gooey middle, and once these cool, I'm going to cut them up and put them in little packages for the kids. And these are the M&Ms, and this is the chocolate chip ones. And you can add any mix-ins you want. If you like nuts, other kinds of chips. I've done peanut butter chips in here. So good. And then I ended up bagging these up in 4s because it looked kind of big as 5. I want them to have a hearty snack, but I also don't want them to I don't want them to eat this and not have room for their sandwich or the grapes or whatever, the fruit or whatever else I give them. So I just didn't want to give them too much. So I figured 4s, and that would give me 12 plus a little bag of 3 as a little snack today when somebody gets home. So that's kind of perfect. Everybody gets 2. And yeah, we'll do the brownies after that. And now I'm going to work on the cookies. Okay, I'm going to make 2 batches of, they're called super soft pudding sprinkle cookies. And they're some of my kids' favorite cookies. Basically, you make the cookies any way you want, and then you add in a cup of some kind of sprinkles, but instead I'm going to add in M&Ms, or in this case, M&Ms and confetti chips. But you could add any mix-ins you want. I've made these all kinds of different ways, and because you add a box of pudding, I've added lemon pudding, I've added banana pudding, I've added vanilla pudding, and I've added chocolate. I'm sure there's other flavors out there that would be also very delicious. Maybe pistachio pudding with chopped up pistachios in it would be really good. I'm going to read down the recipe so you know exactly what's in here. 3/4 cup of butter, which is 1.5 sticks of butter. 1 cup of sugar, 1 egg plus 1 yolk, and I'm going to save the whites for something else. A teaspoon of vanilla, and as you know, I don't measure my vanilla, so it's, about a teaspoon. A teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 package of pudding mix, 2 cups of flour, and a half of cup of sprinkles. I always have sugar-free pudding in the house, so that's what I end up using, but you can use just plain instant pudding, whatever. So I'm going to use 1 vanilla and 1 chocolate to give me 2 different kinds of cookies. These do not make a lot of cookies, so my suggestion to you is, whenever you can, is to double this recipe. I'm sort of doubling it today because I'm making 2 different kinds, but I only have 1 box of instant vanilla in the house, so I can't double it. Otherwise, I would just double this and make it as one thing. So I have to make this as 2 separate batches, unfortunately. So I'm going to make the vanilla ones first, because then I don't have to wash out the bowl. I can just keep going and make the chocolate ones. If I make the chocolate first, you'll notice the chocolate mixed in with the vanilla. Okay, so let's start. 1.5 sticks of butter. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. I'm going to take my bread hook off of this and put it on my mixing hook. Okay, so 1.5 sticks of butter, and then we're going to cream that with the sugar. So 1.5 sticks of butter. Sorry, this is going to be loud. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Maybe a little bit more. These are yummy. Extra vanilla, never hurt anybody. So when you bake, you're supposed to use unsalted butter, but I always use salted because that's what I buy. So sometimes I don't add the salt in, and in this case, I'm not going to add the salt into these cookies. I find them perfectly fine without the salt, so I'm just going to leave that out. The salted butter is plenty. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I buy my baking soda in big, giant tubs. So that's why I have this giant container of baking soda. It does get a little bit clumpy. So I will show you what I do. So if I think it's going to be clumpy, I just kind of scoop it up like this, dump it into my hand, and then just kind of break it up into the mix like that. And then, you know, use my, that's why I'm wearing an apron, because I wipe my hands down myself all the time. Half a teaspoon of salt, which I'm going to leave out. I'm just going to mix that together so the baking soda gets combined. That's going. I'm going to open this pudding. So this is a package of Walmart brand sugar-free vanilla pudding. You can use whatever instant pudding you want. Just the normal package that makes, what is it, 2 cups? The 4 quarter cup, 4 half cup servings. Yeah, just the normal size box. Put that in there. And it says specifically 3.5 ounce package, so you know it's a smaller package. Mine don't weigh as much as that because mine have artificial sugar in them, so they don't weigh as much, but this is the size. And you're going to mix that for about 30 seconds. Two cups of flour. Combine that. Just go slow to start so you don't have flour all over. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, so once that's combined, you add in the sprinkles, and it calls for half a cup. And I can't remember what I'm doing. I guess in this one I am doing the M&Ms. So it calls for half a cup of M&Ms. I'm gonna measure these, but then you know if it's close enough, I'm just gonna dump them all in. Yeah, I have maybe another quarter, not even, that was a quarter cup measure. So I had like maybe a couple tablespoons left, and I just stuck them in there. I just put them in there. I don't usually even measure the sprinkles. I usually just dump them in there. But it's a half a cup of sprinkles. And I guess I usually think it's a cup of sprinkles because I always double this recipe, but we're only doing half today. So I'm gonna mix them all in. Okay, and that is it. That's all you have to do. So, to lower that, take this off, and then I'll show you how I like to do my cookies. I'm going to show you exactly. I have 4 cookie sheets, 2 fit in my oven at one time. So hopefully I can do all 4. 2 with chocolate and 2. So these silk pads, I don't know. I'll like these. I'll link something similar down below because they are amazing. So instead of throwing out parchment paper all the time, I bought these. I bought them on clearance. I don't even know, Big Lots or something like that. And then these red ones were a gift. Anyway, cookies don't stick. They come out perfectly every single time. And we are going to scoop our cookies out. Okay guys, I'm not even sure what size cookie scoops these are. These are my favorite. They're like maybe 2 tablespoons of cookie mix. I use these every single time for cookies. It makes perfect cookies. And then people think they're store-bought, but they taste so much better. So my suggestion to you is to use the cookie scoop when you scoop out cookies. It's going to change things. I guess maybe people will call these ice cream scoops. I call them cookie scoops because that's what I use them for. I even got a big giant one that I use for these cookies that you put this size in the middle and then you wrap the other size around it. I also use these for meatballs. So they're not just a one trick scoop. And as you saw, I use them for the muffins as well. But I'm going to use this size, and then I have 2 because if one's dirty, I have another one. Or if the girls want to help me, or boys, I guess, if any of the kids want to help me, I've got one for them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just scoop up my cookie mix like this, plop it down here. I do 12 on a sheet. These spread slightly, not a lot, but slightly. So So you can't put them too close to each other. Some cookies don't spread at all, and if that's the case, you can just put them right next to each other. But these spread just a little bit. Let's put this. It's weird. Okay, there. And I know I call these cookie sheets. They're not. They're jelly roll pans. I know. I've tried them all. I've got a cookie sheet. I like these pans right here. I like them because 2 fit in my oven at once. I can do 2 batches of cookies at the exact same time. While these are cooking, because they only take a few minutes, we're going to whip up the other batch of chocolate cookies. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to do. We'll try that. Hopefully they don't stick together, but if they do, I'll just cut them apart. Kids aren't going to care. They're not for anything special. They're not for a fancy dinner or to give to neighbors or anything. These are strictly for my kids' lunches. So that's what we're going to do, 15. We had a whole other tray like that. And I know these look nasty. I know they look dark and dirty, but they're not. They're clean. I just use them a lot, and they're stained. Ooh. I like this cookie batter because it's so moist when they're cooked. You don't need to refrigerate the dough, so there's no waiting time. I get to use up sprinkles and stuff that are like random in the house. So if we make fun decorative cookies for, like, say Halloween, and I've got all these leftover eyeballs and stuff, I can just throw them in the cookie mix and make some kind of random cookies if you only have like a little bit left. It's a great way to use stuff up. I also like them because they're versatile and you can do all kinds of flavors with them. I bet you could do like a chocolate one with like chopped up cherries in it, chopped up dried cherries. I bet that would be delicious. I'm trying to think. Pistachio with nuts. The chocolate with peanut butter is really good. Oh, I've done lemon with lemon chips, and I've done lemon with white chips. And I've done the other ones that I've done. Could do a pumpkin, would be really yummy. A pumpkin with white chips. I don't know. Super versatile, whatever flavor pudding. All right, so I'm gonna do 30 at a time. And it still leaves me maybe another half a tray. So we'll see what I have left of the chocolate when I'm done, but I'm gonna put this in a different bowl so I can work on the chocolate ones now. Because basically these cookies are the same ingredients, I'm not even gonna wash this bowl. I'm just gonna keep going. So to this, we are going to add 1.5 sticks of butter again. And to that, I'm going to add a half bag of these funfetti chips. Maybe not a half a bag. So half a cup, right? So that's 2 of these. So yeah, how about that? See what that looks like when I mix it up. And that looks pretty good. I'll show you over here that this is 9 minutes. They're done. They don't spread a lot, so you can kind of put them a little bit closer together. They do spread a little bit though, so you can't put them right on top of each other, but they don't spread much. So I get 15 on a tray. And now we're gonna do the chocolate ones. So I'm still gonna use this scoop for the vanilla ones. I've got a little bit more of that dough to do. I'm gonna use this scoop for the chocolate ones. Stick these in the oven, and I'm going to start on banana bread. Okay. When you rip your parchment paper, stick this back in so it's closed up, and then just pull it down. And have a nice even tear. Okay, so that's my tip for you guys today. And then this is how I prep my pans. I take one of these strips about the length, about the width of my pan, fold it in half, cut it. I spray the pan, stick the parchment paper on the bottom, and then spray the rest of the pan. And I never have it stick, comes right out. This parchment paper piece comes right off the bottom of the bread. And that should help. I hope you'll be able to get all your breads out of your pans going forward. I do this with mango bread, banana bread, apple bread, all the breads, blueberry, works great. I'm a little concerned because one of my pans is darker than the other ones, so hopefully it doesn't brown too much. But I'll keep an eye on it. This banana bread takes about 30 minutes to bake, and I lowered the oven temperature so it doesn't get too brown on the top. I don't like it overdone. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside so I have room to work, but the pans are prepped. And I try to do that first. If somebody has a great recipe for zucchini bread, I would love to give that a try. If you want to just make a comment down below, let me know what you think the best zucchini recipe is. I would love to try that. I'm going to have a ton of zucchini coming up in the summer next year because I'm planting some. And let's see, 350, which the oven is at for the cookies. Beat the first 7 ingredients. Stir in the nuts. Okay, we're going to leave the nuts out because my kids don't love nuts. Pour batter into the pan. But if you want some mix-ins, chocolate chips are a really good choice. Also, maraschino or fresh cherries chopped up are really good as well. All right, so 2 cups of flour. Half a cup of butter softened. My extra mixing. There we go. I also have another bowl too, which is super helpful. So if I needed to, I could have just used another bowl. So if I'm doing a savory dish and a sweet dish, I can separate them out. Because sometimes I am doing a dessert, and I'm also making pizza crust. And if I'm making pizza crust, which I'll also post a link to right up there for you and put it down below, my recipe for that, which is amazing. I don't want to take the dough out of the bowl. It's a lot easier to just leave it in. And so having a second mixing bowl helps a lot. All right, teaspoon of baking soda. Don't want to mix it up with baking powder, so 1 teaspoon. We're actually doubling this. Oops. So I need 4 cups of flour. I forgot. I don't do it very often. So there we go. 4 cups of flour. Another teaspoon of baking soda. I didn't get very far, so that's good. I wonder why I had 6 bananas. I think done with the baking soda, so I'm going to put that away so I have more room to work. To kind of clean up as I go. Do you guys do that, or do you wait till the very end and clean it all up at once? I try to kind of clean up as I go a little bit anyway. And then 2 sticks of butter. Yeah, sometimes I cream the butter and sugar together, but I didn't do that this time. Okay. I'm sure it'll come out just as good. Just kind of dump and go. There we go. Oops. Yep, see? Notorious for that. Flour everywhere. Sure. Sugar. So I need 4 cups of sugar. That's probably why this tastes so good. All the sugar. And I have done half Splenda, half sugar as well, and that's pretty good. So if you don't want all the sugar, you could do half sugar, half Splenda. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys the chocolate cookies. They're perfect. So hopefully they smell delicious too. Hopefully those get eaten. And this recipe doesn't call for, this is powdered milk that I just reconstituted to make 2 cups of milk. And my recipe doesn't call for vanilla, but I always put in a little bit of vanilla because I love it so much. Just gonna add that to the milk. And that uses up that little jar I had. I've been using that since the summer, so quite a lot of use. Whoops, whoops, whoops. No. Real life, people. Try to dip this out. This is a lot less. It's usually a lot more runny than this. Oh my gosh, you guys, as I was filming, I realized I forgot to put the eggs in the batter. So this is 4 beaten eggs. The recipe calls for 2. I'm doubling it. And I'm just gonna beat this up and mix it in. Thankfully, I reread the recipe so that I didn't make that mistake, but I could feel that it was just too thick and the batter wasn't right. So, yeah, definitely have to go with your instincts on things and double check yourself. I get so involved in making the video that I was not thinking about actually what it should be like. But anyway, no worries. It's fixed. I did it before I put it in there. Otherwise, I would just put 1 egg in each thing. We're going to mix this up really well. And now it's much, much soupier, which is how it should be. But yeah, I don't usually do it in this order. I usually do the eggs and sugar and butter and bananas together, and then I add the dry ingredients after. So I suggest doing it that way because it's so much easier. This is not the way to do it. However, the recipe is really good. What not to do. That's what this video should be titled. things not to do. Okay. All right, so that looks better. I'll put it down so you can see it, but the dough is like loose, and that's how it should be. Maybe even a little bit runnier than this, but we're gonna try this and hopefully this works. I feel like it's still too thick, but I have all the ingredients in there now. I double checked. Note to self, do not put the flour in first. So these look about even, and I'm gonna put those in the oven. I'm gonna put them all in the oven at the same time to bake at 350 for about an hour. I'm gonna keep an eye on this darker one right here because I'm worried that this pan is gonna make it burnt looking on the outside. I mean, not taste burnt, but just too dark. And that could be an issue for my kiddos. So like I said, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. And if that's the case, I bought new pans at Goodwill, and so I might just get rid of this one or give it away and swap it out for one of the other ones that I have. Okay, so those are now in the oven at 350 for about 45 minutes. I'm gonna check them at that point and make sure that they're starting to cook, they're not getting too brown, and if they are getting brown, I'm gonna cover them, or the ones that are brown. And then anything else, I will just leave in there and let it cook for at least 15 more minutes if it needs it. If not, I'll take them out, but I will test with a toothpick. The kids are about to get off the bus in about 15 minutes or so. So I'm gonna start getting everything cleaned up and packaged up and ready to go. And I'll catch you back as soon as the banana breads come out of the oven. So it's the end of the night and the banana breads have been out of the oven for a while and they're all cooled. And I'm gonna wrap these up and throw these in the freezer, but this is how they came out. They're nice and brown on the top. They're done in the middle. They look delicious and perfect. Hopefully they taste good. And then I packaged up the cookies. I put 3 cookies in a bag. Some have 2 chocolate, some have 2 vanilla. So I find 2 vanilla. I packaged up the brownies and I packaged up the mini muffins. And I ended up putting 4 in a bag because that seemed to be a good serving amount for the kiddos. And that's kind of what I did today. That's everything. So it's late. The kids have all gone to bed. I'm exhausted. When they get home, it's kind of crazy. So they get home, we do homework for a couple of hours. I start dinner. We actually had somebody from the defects, Tiffany's caseworker, come and visit tonight just to check up on her. And it just pushes dinner out late. We still have to do a couple of baths that we didn't get to last night. And so it's now 8:30 at night. All the kids are in bed except for Matthew. He's actually out at a friend's house. And I am just done. So I am going to put this stuff away, finish cleaning up the kitchen. I've got a few things on the counter over here that I need to put away and head off to bed. But thanks for hanging out with me today and getting all this stuff packaged up and all the snacks for my kids. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you're watching my videos, and hopefully you can leave me some comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or a thumbs down if you don't. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.